I'm Hannah McDaniel, and I'm going to talk about antibiotic resistance. Here in the United States, we rely heavily on antibiotics to cure simple infections. This is leading to the creation of antibiotic-resistant bacteria that are dangerous because there is no known way to combat these bacteria. We need to take a look at other options to avoid the creation of these bacteria. In this speech, I'm going to talk about this problem a little bit more and one simple way that we can possibly solve this problem. To begin, many commonly known bacteria such as staph, E. coli, and tuberculosis are becoming resistant to antibiotics. This is dangerous to us as Americans and others all around the world. The United States is one of the biggest users of antibiotic creams like Neosporin. Because of this, there are several different strains of common bacteria that are becoming antibiotic resistant. According to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, or the CDC, there is a strain of methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, also known as MRSA, called the USA 300 strain, that is primarily found in the US and is antibiotic resistant, meaning that there is not any known way to fight off this strain of MRSA. I personally got a MRSA infection about 2 years ago, and thankfully it was treatable with topical antibiotics. The infection was extremely painful, and I can't even imagine how much worse it would have been if it would have been the USA 300 strain. MRSA looks like an insect bite or a pimple when it first appears, but unlike other infections that go away with time, MRSA continues to grow and grow, and it eats away at the infected flesh. Some people may say that antibiotic resistance isn't much to worry about, but in all reality, it is a growing problem that needs attention brought to it. Next, we are going to talk about one simple way that we can possibly solve this problem. The next time you or someone else you know gets a cut, think about putting Manuka honey on it instead of an antibiotic cream. I know this sounds crazy, but just hear me out. According to the Federation of American Societies for Experimental Biology, honey or isolated derived components might be of great value for prevention and treatment of infections caused by antibiotic-resistant bacteria. I did a science fair experiment on this same topic this past year. I grew bacteria in different petri dishes, some with Neosporin, some with Manuka honey, some with store-bought honey, and some with homegrown honey. I let them sit in the incubator for about 3 days. When I measured the area around the substance in the petri dishes, the Manuka honey and the Neosporin performed about the same. Here's how it works. Manuka honey is a honey that is made in New Zealand or Australia. It is made from the nectar of the Manuka tree. This nectar gives the honey a high concentration of methylglycol, which is responsible for the antibacterial effect. The higher this concentration is, the greater the antibacterial effect of the honey. According to WebMD, several recent studies have shown that Manuka honey can be beneficial when used on top of wounds and some ulcers. It also says that Manuka honey is marketed for other medical purposes such as preventing and treating cancer, reducing high cholesterol, reducing inflammation in the body, and treating ear, eye, and sinus infections. But the evidence to support these claims is limited. Dr. D. Carter from the University of Sydney also did research with Manuka honey and states that her research is the first to clearly show that these honey-based products could be, in many cases, replace antibiotic creams on wounds and equipment such as catheters. Using honey as an intermediate treatment could also prolong the life of other antibiotics. According to ManukaNatural.com, a group of scientists from Europe also discovered that honey was able to kill every bacteria or pathogen they tested it on, and concluded that it was able to be applied topically to help fight infections like cuts and insect bites. They also said it could be taken internally to help fight internal infections. Finally, if we don't make changes in our overuse of antibiotics, there are going to be a lot more strains of bacteria that will be antibiotic resistant that pop up. This can lead to big problems not only here in the United States but also worldwide. Just imagine, a U.S. citizen gets a MRSA infection with the USA 300 strain. They don't realize it's MRSA and go traveling abroad. MRSA is highly contagious, so they expose everyone they come into contact to the USA 300 strain of MRSA that is antibiotic resistant. There isn't a type of antibiotic that can combat this infection, so now a bunch of people are going to have an extremely painful infection with no way to treat it. If more people turn to alternatives like Manuka honey to fight off the common bacteria, we can help prevent the creation of more antibiotic-resistant bacteria and possibly avoid situations like this. To wrap things up, here in the United States, we rely heavily on antibiotics to cure simple infections, but this can create antibiotic-resistant bacteria. We need to look at other options to avoid the creation of these bacteria. Manuka honey is just one of the many ways that we can use alternatives to antibiotics, but it is never too late to look at a different option to combat simple infections. In this speech, I talked about the creation of antibiotic-resistant bacteria and just one possible solution to combating this problem. Thank you for watching my speech.